There is a house standing in Nebraska right now that was built out of straw more than 125 years ago, and it is still standing strong today. Historians actually placed the very first temporary straw structures in the Nebraska sandhills back around 1896, but the oldest surviving load-bearing straw bale home is widely dated to somewhere between 1898 and 1903. Either way, that is not a hut, not a shed. That is a full home made from stacked bales of straw, and it has outlived most of the houses built around it in the last 50 years. So today we are asking the question everyone is afraid to ask. Is straw the most underrated building material in America, or is it a fire waiting to happen? Stick around, because near the end of this video, I'm going to show you the one financing trick that convinces banks and insurers to say yes to a straw bale home. And most people building one never find out about it until it is too late. Before we get into it, if you're into honest, no fluff breakdowns of alternative housing, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because we post real cost numbers and real builder names every week. No sponsors, no affiliate links, just the truth about what these homes actually cost to build. So let us clear something up first. A straw bale home is not a home made of hay, and it is not flammable in the way people assume. Straw is the dry stalk left over after wheat, rice, or barley is harvested, once the grain has been removed. It is essentially agricultural waste, which is one of the reasons this method appeals to anyone who cares about sustainable building. When those stalks are compressed into tight, dense bales and stacked like giant bricks, they create a wall system that is incredibly resistant to fire, because there is almost no oxygen trapped inside a compacted bale for a flame to feed on. That surprises almost everyone the first time they hear it. These bales are then used either as the actual structural wall, called load-bearing construction, or as thick insulation packed into a post and beam timber frame, which is a method most builders use today because it is easier to get approved by banks and building departments. Once the bales are stacked and trimmed, they get coated in a plaster skin, usually lime plaster, clay plaster, or in some cases a breathable cement-based render, which locks everything together into a wall that could be 2 feet thick. And here is something that gives this whole method real legitimacy in 2026. Straw bale construction is not just a niche workaround anymore. It is formally recognized inside Appendix S of the International Residential Code, the same code book that governs standard home construction across most of the United States. That single detail matters more than people realize, because it means a growing number of local building departments already have a legal framework for approving these homes, instead of treating every application like some kind of experiment. Let's talk about the number you actually came here for. What does this cost in 2026? Across multiple current cost guides and builder estimates, a straw bale home built by a professional contractor in the United States typically runs between $150 and $250 per square foot, with some premium builds using thick bale walls and lime finishes reaching $300 per square foot or more. Broader market data on custom natural builds actually pushes that range even wider, up to $350 per square foot, depending on your region, your finishes, and how remote your building site is. Break that down into real houses, and it looks like this. A modest 1,000 square foot straw bale home lands somewhere between $150,000 and $230,000 all in, with some broader estimates placing a similar build as low as $120,000 on the efficient end. A larger 1,600 square foot home with high efficiency systems can climb toward $280,000 to $420,000, and in some markets that bracket stretches all the way up to $450,000. Here is the part nobody tells you. The straw itself is shockingly cheap compared to the rest of the build. Standard 2-string wheat or barley bales, bought retail, generally run between $8 and $15 each, though buying farm direct in bulk can bring that number down closer to $5 a bale in some regions. A typical home only needs 300 to 400 bales for the walls. That means the raw material for your entire wall system might cost you somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000, sometimes less if you're sourcing locally at harvest season. So where does the rest of the money go? The wall system itself, bales plus plaster plus framing, usually makes up only about 15% of the total cost of the house. The other 85% is the same as any home: foundation, roof, windows, doors, electrical, plumbing, and finishes. Straw bale does not make the whole house cheap. It makes the walls incredibly efficient, and that efficiency pays you back every single month for the rest of your life. And this is where straw bale actually wins. A standard framed wall using fiberglass bad insulation typically delivers an R value somewhere around R13 to R19. A properly built straw bale wall, once you account for the thickness of the bale itself plus the plaster skin on both sides, commonly tests out between R30 and R35. That is roughly 2 to 3 times the insulating power of a conventional wall, packed into a home that already feels solid and quiet the moment you walk inside. Over the life of a typical 30-year mortgage, that thermal performance can cut heating and cooling costs by up to 75%. If you're someone who already hates writing a check to the power company every winter, this is the part of the video that should have your full attention, because this is not a marketing claim. This is physics. Straw is full of tiny trapped air pockets, and trapped air is one of the best insulators on Earth. That is also why straw bale homes tend to hold a steady indoor temperature with far less mechanical heating and cooling running in the background, which is a detail almost nobody mentions until they have actually lived in one. Now, for the honest part, because this channel does not sugarcoat anything. Straw bale homes come with real obstacles, and if you're thinking about building one, you need to hear this before you fall in love with the idea. First, financing. Many traditional lenders still view straw bale construction as experimental simply because it is unfamiliar to them, not because it is actually risky. Some banks will hesitate or decline outright, especially for a full owner-builder project with no licensed contractor attached. Second, insurance. A number of national insurers are still catching up to this building method, and getting a policy can take extra legwork and a few extra phone calls compared to insuring a standard stick frame home. But here is the good news, and this is the tip I promised you at the top of the video. Straw bale construction is insurable, and specialty insurers operate across the country specifically for natural and alternative builds. In some regions, because straw walls are so fire-resistant once plastered, you can actually qualify for reduced premiums, not higher ones. The trick that industry veterans use is bringing a licensed general contractor on as the supervising builder or consultant of record, rather than going full owner-builder from day one. Lenders hate owner-builder projects on alternative structures specifically because of the risk of an unfinished build. So putting a licensed professional in that supervising role is the exact strategy recommended to push a loan through underwriting successfully. That single move dramatically improves how a bank views the project, because it tells them there is professional oversight on the timeline and the budget, and it often unlocks financing that would otherwise be denied. Credit unions and regional banks also tend to outperform the big national lenders here, because they hold the loan themselves instead of selling it off, so they're willing to actually look at your engineered plans instead of rejecting the project the moment they hear the word straw. A stamped engineering plan set and a prior approval letter from your local building department goes a long way toward calming everyone down before you even ask for the money. This is not a fringe hobby anymore, and the people behind it have real track records. The California Straw Building Association, known as CASBA, has spent years building out code recognition and connecting owners with structural engineers who specialize in bale construction, and CASBA was actually the driving force behind getting straw bale construction written into Appendix S of the International Residential Code in the first place. In Oregon, firms like PSE Consulting Engineers are real, respected structural engineers who focus specifically on natural building and straw bale structural work. On the education side, strawbale.com is still considered the premier resource in this space, run by Andrew Morrison, who is well known for hands-on, in-person workshops that teach owner-builders how to actually stack, trim, and plaster a bale wall correctly before they commit their own life savings to a full build. On the construction side, Simple Construct is a highly respected natural building and plaster specialist working out of Southern California, handling everything from initial bale, stacking, to the final finish coat. And this is not just an American story. In 2012, France formally approved what is called the Règles Professionnelles de la Construction in Bale, essentially a professional rulebook for straw construction, which made straw bale an officially recognized common technology under French building standards. That recognition means a straw bale home in France can qualify for standard decennial building insurance, the same 10-year structural guarantee required on conventional homes, instead of being treated as some kind of experimental oddity the way it sometimes still is here. So here's the real answer to the question I open with. Is straw bale the smartest alternative building method in America? For the right buyer, someone who wants a quiet, deeply insulated home with a dramatically lower energy bill, who is willing to do a little more homework on financing and hire the right supervising contractor, the answer is genuinely yes. It is not the cheapest way to build a house, and anyone who tells you they built one for $40 or $60 a square foot almost certainly did it with donated materials and years of free skilled labor that most of us simply do not have access to. But dollar for dollar, when you weigh the upfront cost against decades of dramatically lower heating and cooling bills, straw bale construction is one of the most honest deals in sustainable building today, and it now has the code recognition, the specialty insurers, and the experienced builders behind it to back that up. If this kind of straight up, no sponsor, no affiliate breakdown is what you come to this channel for, make sure you're subscribed, drop a comment telling me which alternative building method you want broken down next. And check out the video on screen right now, where I compare 5 natural building methods side by side, so you know exactly which one fits your budget and your climate. I will see you in the next one.